Well, I can only say that after Manaus, Fortaleza is heaven.
Thank you very much. That's because I'm here.
Actually, when Brad and I entered the stadium, it must seem like 2 hours ago, there was a huge roar, and I thought, I didn't know Brad Friedel was this popular. And then I looked up and the giant screens were showing the Brazilian bus arriving.
But it was nice of you to give me that kind of reception back at the hotel.
With due respect.
Thank you.
With due respect. The two teams are inching their way towards full public view here in the Estadio Castelao. It is a wonderful arena. It holds 58,000. I would say 50,000 of them are wearing Brazil shirts, and the remaining 8,000 Mexican shirts. But this is an eagerly awaited contest. Samba against sombrero, and here come the two teams and await the roar. Brazil actually trail the Mexicans out onto the arena because they have this little plan. The right arm goes on the shoulder of the player in front of you, and therefore their progress is more stately.
And togetherness, absolutely. Philip Scolari really wanted all their training sessions open to the public. He wants the whole country to feel as one, and that's what you see from their players as they're walking out.
Just like watching England train, watching Brazil train. You get the first 15 minutes, then you're banished. Anyway, it was ever thus. And I'm not complaining, Roy, but we now await the national anthems, and trust me, the Brazilian anthem will be sung much longer than the FIFA truncated version. What about that then?
I had to give that a clap. That was unbelievable. Goosebumps, that.
How untypical of FIFA to try something so stupid as to cut short a national anthem. And that was Brazil's response to FIFA.
This reminds me of my days playing in Turkey with Galatasaray. The volume levels in here are absolutely incredible.
Well, I was watching Thiago Silva, the skipper of Brazil, singing the anthem, and he was quite measured. Just 2 places away from him, David Luiz was frightening. Frightening. I do not know what's going through the new Paris Saint-Germain defender, but goodness, you wouldn't want to have to play against them after that. Now, they are hyped up. There's no question about this. Brazil are hyped. Brazil in their yellow shirts, blue shorts and white socks. Mexico in their red shirts, black shorts and red socks. And these are the two lineups. First of all, Brazil. The goalkeeper is Julio Cesar. The defense is Alves, Thiago Silva, David Luiz and Marcelo. Then we've got Gustavo and Paulinho. And then we think Ramirez will play on the right of the three. Then Oscar, then Neymar on the left. And that would mean that Ramirez could look after Layun, who's a dangerous player, down the Mexican left. And finally Fred up front. And Mexico's goalkeeper in an unchanged 11 is Ochoa. They've got 5 men across the defence. The 3 central defenders are Rodriguez, Rafael Marquez and Moreno, Aguilar on the right, Layun on the left. Then we've got Herrera, Vasquez and Guardado, and finally Dos Santos and Peralta. Now the thing about this Mexican coach is he's not defensively minded.
No, he's not, but I'll tell you, after listening to the national anthem and knowing what Brazil is going to try to do at the beginning of this game, it is very important that this Mexican team does something in this first 5 to 10 minutes of the game to take the sting out of it. They do not want this crowd getting behind the Brazilian team. They want them to get a little bit antsy. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of fouls. I imagine they're going to try to get forward if they can, but one thing's for sure, they're going to stay in their positions at the beginning.
And you think of how difficult it was for Mexico to qualify for the World Cup, a tortuous campaign, 47 players, 4 different coaches. They almost lost 4th place in the group to Panama. And as they're still saying, bless the United States.
For the first time ever.
For coming back. Well, here we are, we're ready. It's a wonderful setting. It truly is so colourful. Bright yellow, bright red, all around this Fortaleza arena. Fortaleza means fortress, as I think you heard Tim Vickery say earlier, and this is what Mexico will have to do. The referee is from Turkey. He's familiar to all of us in the Champions League, Kunak Kakir, and he blows his whistle, and we're underway. And of course there's a huge roar as the ball is passed back by Brazil from the kick-off initially to Dani Alves, and now there's a foul on this near side of the field on Ramirez. Ramirez is on the right side for Brazil, so Layun will have to think very carefully about breaking forward.
Absolutely, that's something that obviously a tactical decision by Scolari. But did you see the start there from Mexico? They really tried to pressure the ball high up the pitch. I'm not sure if they're going to do that all the time, but they're really trying to set their mark and showing Brazil that we're here to play.
Well, it's just a heavy challenge on Neymar. There's a free kick as a result for Brazil. I don't know about you, Brad, but I thought Neymar was a protected species in that first game against Croatia.
Very lucky to be playing here today. I would agree with you, because when he did try to take the player down from Croatia already on a booking, probably a second booking.
And arguably he could have been sent off for the forearm
for the first
on Modric anyway. Free kick is taken. Neymar's okay. He's a great player, and I'm not disputing that at all. Here's David Luiz to Thiago Silva, still 20 yards short of the halfway line. On to a salt and pepper haircut of Dani Alves. Alves passed forward, not good, and Mexico have the ball. And it's chipped long towards the near side of the field. And was that a foul tackle? No, the referee was quite happy with that.
Looked like it to me, to be
I
fair.
thought it was a foul challenge, not given. I hope this doesn't become a feature of the World Cup, you know. Too many refereeing decisions kindly going the way of the home nation.
One thing is for certain here, Alan, Mexico has come to attack Brazil in this early going. They are not sitting back.
Yeah, Guardado heavily in on the challenge, and he was fouled actually by Paulinho, the Tottenham midfield player, and it's going to be a free kick to Mexico, a yard in from this near touchline, the left. This is the fourth time these nations have met in the finals of a World Cup. Mexico have lost all three. They haven't scored against Brazil.
Not in the World Cups. They do have a decent record, probably better than most teams in the world against them in other competitions, but in World Cups not been one of their happy hunting grounds.
Threatening free kick then for Mexico from the left, taken by Guardado into the penalty area, headed away by David Luiz. Doesn't reach Oscar. Kept them playing the far side of the field. Mexico with lots of red shirts in the Brazilian penalty area, and the Brazilian defence didn't quite know how to deal with that excellent cross on the right. They conceded a corner. Thiago Silva headed it behind.
Yeah, there were three Brazilian players there, and it didn't look like there was much communication there. They got it out, and it's going for a corner, but any one of the three could have cleared it. Yeah, and Thiago Silva saying there, please communicate with me. It is loud in here, but Mexico, again, very impressed with the start of this game, putting Brazil on the back foot.
Corner to Mexico. Played short for Layun. Layun to the left side, and the driven cross rebounds off Gustavo, who's very important to this Brazilian lineup. He's a truly defensive midfield player, looking after, shadowing Thiago Silva and David Luiz should either of them move forward. Throw into Mexico, level with the edge of the Brazilian penalty. That doesn't work out at all, and it's going to be a Brazilian throw in as a result. 3.5 minutes played here in Fortaleza. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Both of these nations, of course, won their opening games. Mexico beat Cameroon 1-0 after Brazil had beaten Croatia 3-1. Brazil deserved that win, no doubt about that, but they had a lot of good fortune.
They did.
Never a penalty.
Referee being one of them.
Never a penalty.
Great finish by Oscar on the third goal.
Yeah, that was excellent. Mexico lose the ball to Oscar, just short of the halfway line. Oscar, then he loses it. Firm third challenge on him, and Mexico come forward again. Goodness, they're attacking Brazil in these opening minutes. They're not at all frightened, Mexico. It's with Layun, the left wing back for Mexico. Then he ran into a Brazilian player, tried to keep the ball. I'm not sure about that challenge on Gustavo.
And I'm not sure, Alan, how many teams come here and attack Brazil like this in Brazil. It can't be many.
Well, it's 12 years since they lost at home.
Yeah, so it can't be
12 years.
Very impressive start. So it's obviously their tactic to try to stifle the crowd.
Marcelo to Neymar. Neymar miscontrols the ball, and it's taken up on the far side by Mexico. And look, they've got half a dozen players inside the Brazilian half. Neymar tried to win the ball back. He succeeds. But the Mexican player immediately looks at the assistant, who was only a couple of yards away, and he said, "Did you not see reason to flag there?"
That's the second one, I think, that Brazil's gotten away with, to be fair.
Scolari's out in his technical area, so too is Miguel Herrera, complaining to the fourth official that immediately his side didn't get two decisions which should have gone their way.
And Scolari just there has pointed to Fred to stay high up the pitch because he's coming back and they're not getting forward. This is the first attack we've seen Brazil have.
Here's Ramirez playing the ball low into the Mexican penalty. It's a simple enough clearance. Ramirez wins the ball with a header again, taken up by Neymar, who runs into Fred. That wasn't planned. Neymar's down, he's okay, and it's hit clear by Lyon up to the centre circle. And on it goes to Dos Santos. He doesn't control the ball properly, and Marcelo plays it back to Thiago Silva, the Brazilian captain. Dani Alves to Gustavo. Gustavo wasn't really known in Brazil before the Confederations Cup last season.
No, and Paulinho came on the scene quite late as well in Brazilian standards.
That was a loose pass by Brazil. Gustavo won the ball back. He thought it was fouled though. Herrera takes it up for Mexico again. To Lyon. Lyon running away from Oscar. Really fouled by Oscar.
Third foul for me that they've run away with.
Herrera's furious. He's absolutely every right. But Brazil had the ball. Paulinho to Neymar. Neymar now, only 15 yards over the halfway line. Runs forward, falls over, gets a free kick.
So three fouls right now that Brazil have gotten away with. The first chance that he gets to give Neymar a foul, he gives it to him in the attacking half. Do you think he's feeling the pressure from the crowd?
Well, that first game, I kept thinking, well, Japan has always had really good relations with Brazil. Always in history.
But not that day.
The referee was rather generous towards the host nation. Now, this is a long way out. David Luiz actually thought of belting the ball. It's 40 yards out.
Well, he does have an extremely good free kick, and it does dip and move and wobble all over the place, and I'm sure he's going to give this an effort, and he's going to try to make this goalkeeper work early on.
Well, Dani Alves was nearest the ball, but he's moved away. Here it is, David Luiz. 7 minutes played, terrible free kick. Didn't beat the first defender, and it's cleared upfield towards Dos Santos. Dos Santos beaten by Thiago Silva, and David Luiz running back, plays the ball to his goalkeeper, Julio Cesar. Recalled by Scolari last year, despite being relatively inactive at Queen's Park Rangers, and then he went to Toronto. He only played, half a dozen games or so for Toronto in the MLS.
But he named him. I think he was the first player Scolari named to the squad.
Great faith in him.
Yep, absolutely. And he did that because the press, I believe, started to get on him a little bit, on Cesar, for not playing football.
Here's Thiago Silva, quietly approaching the halfway line, flicks the ball towards the far side, the Brazilian left. Marcelo takes it in his chest. I thought he was wonderful in the Champions League final when he came on as substitute. Really helped Real Madrid to get back into the match, not just in terms of scoring the goal. But that's a loose pass, and Mexico in red collect the ball again. Flick to the halfway line. Now they've got Aguilar down the right. It's with Aguilar now. Steps inside a couple of challenges. Keeps the ball for Mexico. Mexico started the game well. Now that move breaks down. 8 minutes gone here in Fortaleza. 0-0. You're listening to 5 Live, the home of Brazil 2014. Don't dare think of going anywhere else.
What I like about Mexico's back five, Alan, is that it quickly in transition turns to a back three with the two wing backs. Both of them are flying forward. I know Lyon is actually the more prominent one and the one with more tricks and pace. But they are going to try to, what we've seen here, they are going to try to pose Brazil problems, which is great to see.
Yeah. Brazil haven't got anywhere near the Mexican penalty area yet. Nope. Nowhere near. They've got the ball now with Gustavo, who flicks it to the left side, and Marcelo to Fred, wide to Oscar. Oscar onto his right foot and glides the ball towards the right side, and fighting the run forward at Dani Alves. I don't think he can get there in time. He can't, and it's out for a throw into Mexico.
I think Mexico will be quite happy with that, forcing them to one side, closing the pitch down, and then forcing them to put 50, 60-yard balls across the pitch. Right now, Mexico will be delighted with this. The other thing I'm very impressed with Mexico is they're keeping two up front. They're not dropping the other one back, so every time the ball goes backwards, everyone can push forward with pressure on the ball.
Throw in for Mexico, thrown infield and played back, and now it's hit over the halfway line with some optimism from Mexico. Not a great header away. Peralta almost collected it, and the referee has decided what? Free kick to Brazil. What for? Handball?
Handball, I believe.
I didn't see Peralta try to handle that, did he?
It didn't look like it from here, but I think that's number 4 right now.
Yeah.
Should we just count them?
No, don't, because we'll get boring and we'll need a calculator soon. let's say Brazil have been favoured in these opening minutes. Great work by Marcelo, finding Oscar. Oscar crosses into the penalty area, hit away by Moreno, chested down by David Luiz, but he didn't find initially a colleague. Now it's picked up by Marcelo. Marcelo to Oscar down the left, and Oscar running in towards the penalty. Great cross in, Fred puts it into the side netting. There was no offside flag.
I don't think it was offside, but that's the second little bit of poor defending by Aguilar on the right-hand side. The first one just a minute ago, he left the ground. It was offside, sorry.
It just took him half an hour to raise his flag.
Right, but the second one, but it was still Aguilar with very poor defending. He launched himself in, and Oscar got down to the end line very easily.
I mean, I'm looking at the assistant thinking, go on, lift your flag, and he didn't. I think that the referee gave that decision.
Probably about 4 or 5 seconds, yeah. His flag never went up early anyway.
Right, the officials are from Turkey. Goal kick taken by Ochoa, the Mexican goalkeeper, straight into Brazilian possession, but they lose possession carelessly. There was Oscar to blame there. And now the ball's played back to the Mexican goalkeeper, who's clad all in blue, and he plays it out to the far side, and Mexico now win a throw-in. But that's the first remote threat from Brazil in the opening 11 minutes, and any clown could tell that was offside apart from the assistant.
Exactly, and it has come. Both their attacks in this last 2 minutes have come from Oscar. On this right-hand side, Ramirez seems to be looking after Layun more than going forward himself.
Here's Thiago Silva taking the ball down off his chest and loafing towards the halfway line, just checks and plays it back to David Luiz. Nearly 12 minutes gone on 5 live. Luiz finds Marcelo of Real Madrid into Neymar, who's been quite quiet, and now Oscar to Marcelo. Oscar once more, he's just a yard over the halfway line, hard by the far touchline, the Brazilian left. Back to Marcelo and Luiz, and I suppose this is the way Brazil can gradually exert some dominance by just keeping the ball.
Yeah, if they keep the ball there, but Mexico's keeping quite a high line.
Dani Alves gets past a challenge that he shouldn't have got past from Vasquez, and then he's rushed out by other red shirts. He left his foot in there, and well, the Mexican rolled over. Maybe an elaborate response from him, but I have to say, if that had been a Mexican player tackling a Brazilian player, it would have been a yellow card.
Most definitely.
Look, I tell you what, I'm going to stop now. I spend the whole of the season questioning referees in England and in Europe. I don't know, he was well away from the ball there, Dani Alves.
Well away from the ball.
Was brought down.
I agree with you though, if that was a Mexican player, he books him in the stadium today.
13 pretty satisfactory minutes have been played here by Mexico. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Ball's on the halfway line in Mexican possession, and that was careless. And now it's taken up by Neymar. Neymar in towards Fred. Fred's shot is blocked by the defender. Fred's still inside the penalty area. Plays it to Marcelo. Marcelo tries to pull the cross back low. Does pull it back low, but it comes back off a Brazilian player. It's behind for a goal kick. I think Marcelo initially had just crossed the goal line anyway.
And that is what you cannot do against this Brazilian team. For as good a start as Mexico's had, they lost the ball in a careless pass right in the middle of the pitch, in the middle third, and Brazil broke very quick, and I think Mexico consider themselves fortunate not to have conceded there, to be fair.
It's the former American goalkeeper Brad Friedel alongside me, and the atmosphere, and I've been lucky enough to experience it many times too, it's akin to being in the Turkish capital, isn't it? You know, this sort of racket, this intensity.
Absolutely is. I played in cup finals where the stadiums were full 3-4 hours before kickoff. Very similar feel to today.
Now Oscar's been fouled. No question about that decision on the far side of the field, so it's a free kick to Brazil just over the halfway line. The Mexican made absolutely no attempt to play the ball. I think it was Aguilar. So free kick, Marcelo to take it. He's got Oscar close by, so he just taps it to the Chelsea player. Back it goes to Marcelo. Oscar once more. His flicked attempted pass to Marcelo didn't come off. Mexico intercept, and then they give it away. Oscar running forward, and it's a little bit untidy on the far side. Finally it goes out of play for a throw-in to Brazil. Oscar finds Neymar, and Neymar sweeps the ball right-footed towards this near touchline. That's the Brazilian right in the first half. Dani Alves on to Paulinho, and now Ramirez. Paulinho once more, shifting it carelessly, hits the chest of a Mexican. Paulinho's lucky the ball comes back to him. This is a better pass to Daniel Alves, halfway inside the Mexican half. Playing the ball back to the halfway line to Thiago Silva, and now David Luiz. But Mexico just holding their positions right now. It's as if they're saying, look, when you've got the ball, Brazil, you just try to get past us.
And we're not going to exert much energy at all. You're absolutely right. When it does go backwards, they're going to need to keep creeping forward, though. If they stay right on top of the box, this Brazilian team will eventually tire them out. One thing I have noticed, those Aguilar's defensive capabilities, 3 or 4 times now, I think Brazil has pointed out a weakness there.
But it's good for El Tri. 0-0 here in Fortaleza, and you're listening to 5 Live in the BBC, as you should, and you know it. Free kick to Mexico, down their right side, and immediately, they push both wing backs forward into forward positions, and they leave the defence, the 3 central defenders to cope. One central defender taps it to another, and Mexico make progress into the Brazil half. Back to Vasquez, and now it's with Marquez, and Marquez sweeps it towards the near side, the Mexican left. Lyon's available just short of the halfway line. Lyon immediately knocks the ball into the centre circle, but that wasn't controlled properly, and Brazil can counter-attack here. Oscar to Neymar of the magical number 10. Neymar moves away from his marker and runs inside another one. Then he tries to flick the ball between his legs to get past a third one. This time the Mexican brings him down, and it's going to be a free kick to Brazil.
Second time they've had a loose pass where they've lost possession right in the middle of the pitch, and Brazil will try to break quickly. They got numbers behind the ball that time, but it's definitely something that Mexico is going to have to stop doing if they're going to try to keep Brazil off the score sheet, because it seems to me like that's where the goal is going to be coming from for Brazil.
Now Fred and Paulinho and David Luiz are all on the edge of the Mexican penalty area. This will be a shot at goal. Neymar's going to take the free kick. Marcelo's there as well. It's towards the Brazilian left flank. Marcelo runs over the ball. Neymar delivers right-footed, and that was a high foot inside the penalty area by Brazilian, not penalised, and Mexico clear the ball out of play for a throw-in. Just level over the edge of the Mexican penalty area. Dani Alves comes forward. I don't know whether he'll be a Barcelona player next season. Looks likely to be moving, doesn't it?
It does look like it, yeah. They've had a lot of changes so far in the off-season, and from what you hear, it's going to be many more.
From the throw-in, Gustavo shoots with an effort that threatens the corner flag more than the goal.
I don't really know what to say on that one. It was from about 35 yards out, wide to the goalkeeper's left, and like you said, nearly hit the corner flag.
He plays,
and he got a few jeers as well from the crowd for that.
Well, he's still not that popular because he's sort of anathema to what Brazilian fans want in the team. He's a defensive midfield player. They've forgotten about Dunga. You know what a brilliant player he was. Now, Brazil come forward and Brazil lose possession, and it's run away towards the halfway line. Then that's a loose pass. Gustavo hits it forward. Marcelo, always inclined to attack, crosses deep, looking for Fred. Fred was offside. This time the referee responds to the assistant, who was on this occasion awake, and the flag is up. Free kick to Mexico.
I think that's a correct decision. Again, an attack down their left-hand side, over on Aguilar's side. Fred there pulled off, just a little bit offside, but quite a dangerous play, to be honest with you. Mexico, to me, looks to be tiring just a little bit. They're not pressuring the ball as much, and they've given away now 2 or 3 in the middle of the pitch. They're going to have to get some of that energy back. I know it's hot, but they're going to have to do that if you're going to beat this very talented Brazilian side on Brazilian soil.
Well, yes, it is hot, and it's quite humid. The 56% humidity. However, I was expecting it to be hotter and more humid already.
It was definitely hotter the other day,
yes,
as the sun was coming through. Players have gotten a little break because of the cloud cover today. However, the humidity, I think that's what zaps your energy out of you. It depletes you, it dehydrates you, and when you're always chasing the ball, then it really plays on your mind.
Well, the referee stopped play because there'd been a collision between Alves and Lyon, not a free kick. So immediately players took an opportunity to get a drink of water, and then it's a bounce ball and we're underway again. 20 minutes gone here in Fortaleza. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. It won't stay that way, surely. Around Nigeria, you could believe that from the early minutes of that game.
I can't see this one staying.
Not this one.
No.
Here's David Luiz to Thiago Silva. Scolari pointing forward for Silva, his captain, to respond. It's in now. Paulinho holds off a challenge. Paulinho down the right side. Then he's showing far too much of the ball to Mexico, and they get it back with Guardado. In now to Marquez. And Marquez still 20 yards short of the halfway line. Not a great ball. Oscar half collected it. Layun then slashes the ball out of play on the far side of the field. Mexico are very loose sometimes in possession. They can't afford that.
That's third time right in the middle of the pitch, and if Mexico will continue winning these balls, and they're going to break, and they're going to continue to get chances. One thing that Mexico, with this bright start in the first 10 minutes they have to make Cesar work a little bit. He's only touched the ball once with his feet so far, and it's starting to turn into a little bit of attack v defense here. Brazil get the ball. I know they're not hurting Mexico so much, but as the game goes, they're going to keep tiring them.
Alves looking for Fred, flags up again against Fred. So it's the second time he's been caught offside. Well, it's actually the third time. But just the first one wasn't really recognised by the assistant until the referee told him what the laws are. Free kick to Mexico. 21 minutes gone here in 5 Live. 0-0, Brazil and Mexico in this wonderful arena in Fortaleza. I think you're doing all our games in Fortaleza, aren't you?
I'm doing the first 3, and then I go to Rio.
Right, okay. You'll be weeping when you leave Fortaleza. I know you will be.
It's been outstanding here. I've really enjoyed my time here so far.
It's a beautiful resort and a fantastic beach. Not that I've been on it. I can't speak for Brad, but
I have been on it.
I've just been happy. You're the common sense one. Right, here's Moreno. One of the 3 central defenders from Mexico just steps over the halfway line, taps it to Layun. Layun's forward pass, poor, hit straight out of play, and it's a throw in to Brazil. It's quite a messy period of the game at the moment.
It is, and it just seems to me that Brazil are wearing them down little by little.
Now here's Peralta chasing after the ball towards the Brazilian penalty. He's into the penalty. Peralta checks inside, moves through between 2 defenders, still has another chance to get the ball. There was no referee's whistle for his challenge on the latest defender. It's still in play on the far side of the field. And then Mexico lose it, and Oscar runs away with it. Oscar flicks it in the direction of Neymar. Neymar shouldn't get there, and he doesn't get there, and Mexico have the ball back. Midway through the first half then, the referee is going to stop play because a Mexican player has rolled down as if he's injured. That was after the challenge by Neymar. He didn't give a free kick. It was just a collision.
Yeah, it was just a collision. It looked like he got winded there. But that was the first time in probably 8-9 minutes we've seen Mexico attack.
I hardly noticed Peralta in the game.
Yeah, they got 3 players inside the box. If he would have crossed it there maybe in a more timely manner, they would have actually made Cesar work or score a goal themselves. They have to try to retain possession of this ball. If they keep defending, eventually Brazil will wear them down.
We are casting shadow on this side of the ground. On the upper tier of the far side, it's just brilliant sunlight now, and they'll be roasting those fans. Most of them are actually Mexican. Now Mexico on the attack, ball just outside the Brazilian penalty, shot driven in just over the crossbar.
Just as we say that, they finally make the goalkeeper, Julio Cesar, work.
They're appealing that Cesar made a save.
He did. It
should have been a corner.
Should be a corner kick. Got himself in a decent area, good strike, good power on it, was dipping, had to make the save. Very good save.
From the shot by Herrera. So that's probably as much as either side have actually threatened the goal.
Absolutely. The only other time that the goal was really threatened by Brazil was in that offside where we all saw, but the linesman didn't.
Another huge roar goes around this arena. I mean, it is beautiful. And we're getting overcast conditions for most of the day here in Fortaleza. It's 23 minutes past 4 in the afternoon, but now we've got clear blue sky ahead, just a few fluffy white clouds. There was a hint of rain earlier. Hasn't properly materialized. Mexico on the attack, down the far side of the field. That's an easy beating of Marcelo. The cross into the penalty area. A glancing header clear by Thiago Silva. Layun from the clearance on his right foot. Brilliantly plays the ball to the right side of the penalty. Maybe a shade too high. Then Marquez should have had a shot at goal. Didn't. And the opportunity is lost for Mexico. but they win the ball back, albeit inside the centre circle.
Very good play that time by Mexico. They pushed Aguilar forward, and when they do that, they're going to make Brazil defend, and Thiago Silva did just that.
Paulinho to Neymar. Neymar approaching the Mexican penalty from the left side. Curls the ball back. Oh, goodness gracious. Paulinho couldn't collect possession. Now Alves swings across in. Header by Neymar. Comes off the post.
Goalkeeper
Did he get a hand to it?
Absolutely did. What a save. Wonderful save. Great cross in. Fantastic header by Neymar down low to the goalkeeper's right, and he got a very strong hand on it and came out. And as we said, we just went through a patchy time of this game. It has really livened up.
Two good efforts, one from Mexico, one from Brazil. Ochoa was an unused substitute for Mexico in the last two World Cups, but he's preferred to Corunyanal, and he proved his worth with that save from Neymar. Neymar, 2 goals in the opening game. Neymar loses the ball. Layun shoots from long range. It wasn't tipping quickly enough to trouble Julio Cesar, and it's behind for a goal kick.
I know Ochoa had a very good season with Ajaccio in France, and that's obviously why he's been given the nod. I think he's a very good goalkeeper, very good distributor of the ball that they have, and as you can see, he's quite a calm figure in the goals.
And he's leaving Ajaccio in France. He's decided to move on. That was a very good save.
Excellent save. Paulinho is right. Very good header.
Goal kick for Brazil. Julio Cesar takes it, bounces into the Mexican half that is well controlled by the Mexican defence, and it's back to Ochoa, the goalkeeper. 26 and a half minutes played here. You're listening to 5 Live, your World Cup station, Brazil 2014. As yet, it's Brazil 0, Mexico 0. But we could have had a goal from an excellent header by Neymar, provoking a very good save from Ochoa. Here's Ramirez, who's been very quiet, having been selected instead of Hulk. Hulk picked up an injury in training, but he's not officially listed as injured. Ball is now down the left side for Brazil. Marcelo, halfway inside the Mexican half, to Neymar. Marcelo, Oscar's available. Marcelo turns away from the Chelsea player. Now he looks back, feeds it forward to Fred. I suspect if he had picked up possession, he would have been offside, but he didn't, and it's through to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Fred's playing right on the edge, but he's just strained that extra yard each time. He's going to have to time his run a little bit better than he's doing. Getting back to your point on Ramirez, Alan, Ramirez and Layun seem to be cancelling each other out at this moment in time.
Which is probably a bit of a relief for Scolari, because Layun is a very good attacking instrument.
Absolutely is.
Dani Alves hits the ball over the halfway line, but straight it goes to Moreno. Moreno moves inside the Brazilian half. On it goes by Vasquez. They're trying to feed it towards the right side. Didn't come off. David Luiz miscontrols that ball, but Julio Cesar reacted quickly and clears over the halfway line. Headed back by Mexico, and then Marcelo slashes the ball into the crowd on the far side of the field. Still 0-0.
When defending, what I really like the positioning of Thiago Silva. He seems to really be in the areas every single time a cross comes in, a long ball. He seems to be the main figure. He's keeping a very high line for Brazil, but generally when there's pressure on the ball, he drops off at the right times. He, for me, played excellent in the first game as well.
He didn't play at all in South Africa 4 years ago, but interestingly, Rivellino says that Thiago Silva, the captain of Brazil, would be the only one of this side who would play in the 1970 Brazilian team. He thinks that highly of him.
That's some compliment.
Here's Dani Alves down the right. Alves chips the ball over one Mexican player. Feeds it inside of another. Paulinho to Oscar. Oscar's in a good position here, about 30 yards from goal. Oscar shoots, took a slight deflection, but the keeper makes an easy save.
This is something that Mexico is going to have to stop. Brazil are getting all their chances on counter-attacks. They're going to have to try to stop it, whether it's with a foul or just not losing possession in the middle of the pitch. It's probably, the 4th, 5th time now?
Here's Moreno. Just feeding the ball quietly back to his goalkeeper, Ochoa. Now it's with Marquez, the captain of Mexico. Marquez, edge of his own penalty area, drives the ball towards the halfway line, headed away by Paulinho, collected by Mexico. Fred to the right, and Aguilar. Aguilar trying to play it along that far touchline towards Dos Santos. It came out of play off Marcelo for a throw into Mexico. Half an hour played. I didn't think we'd be saying it's 0-0 at this stage.
Nor I. Mexico really came out of the traps very quickly. Then they started to slow off a little bit, and now they're getting a lot of possession of the ball, and they started to cause Brazil a few problems. But Brazil themselves on the counter-attack looked very, very dangerous, especially down Oscar's side.
Moreno, that's a loose pass infield, and as a consequence there was a lunging challenge by, I think it was Peralta, and it's a free kick to Brazil. They've still just had the one chance, Brazil, the Neymar header, and we had that Herrera shot that was tipped over for Brazil by Julio Cesar. No corner was given. It was saved. Thiago Silva with a free kick finds Marcelo on the far side of the field. Marcelo just inching over the halfway line, taps the ball to Oscar, back to Marcelo, and Marcelo doesn't see a proper opportunity ahead of him, so he plays the ball backwards to David Luiz, and now Thiago Silva plays a firm pass to Ramirez back to Dani Alves. Alves' pass wasn't great, but still Ramirez finds Alves once more, but Brazil take the ball off Gustavo, and they run forward, and they're running forward effectively. Goodness gracious, if the Santos had suddenly got the ball through to Peralta, he was clean through and goal, but he couldn't.
He would have been clean through, absolutely. Brazil has had the bulk of the possession in this game, but a lot of the possession has been in front of the Mexican side, where they'd probably be happy for them to have it. The Mexican side were starting to drop a little bit more than they should, but they've corrected that. They're creeping up the pitch, and they're getting some joy on the ball themselves now.
Still brilliant sunshine inside the stadium, but thankfully only in the far side of the field. It's warm enough on this side in the shadow, trust me. Here's Moreno for Mexico. Moreno almost under walking pace now. I know, they're accustomed to these hot and humid conditions, both teams, but they're not overexerting themselves when there's no need to.
No, they know how to play in these conditions. I mean, even if you're used to it, you do have to rest at some stage, and the better time to rest is on the ball.
Layun with a throw in for Mexico, level with the edge of the Brazilian penalty area, and there it goes towards that edge. Guardado had made a good run, but the pass couldn't find him, and Brazil should clear, though Oscar loses it rather easily. Layun again, down the left side, feeding in towards a red shirt, and then Peralta runs into the Santos, the ball breaks to Marcelo, and now it's on the far side with Neymar over the halfway line. Neymar rushes infield, he's rushed through a couple of challenges, but not the latest one, and the ball ricochets off Neymar into the air and back to the goalkeeper Ochoa.
And once again another counter-attack, but that started from the captain Thiago Silva. Right place, right time, read it, won the ball, quickly got the ball up to Neymar, and then they got half a chance. But Mexico did defend very quickly.
Guardado, loose pass forward, well ahead of his two strikers, Dos Santos and Peralta, and it's through to Julio Cesar, who bowls the ball out underarm to Dani Alves, near side of the field, and he switches play immaculately. Long ball to the far side. Marcelo almost took his eye off it, let it go out for a throw, but he didn't. And now he finds Neymar into Paulinho, back to Gustavo inside the centre circle. Alves has got so much room down this near flank. Layun eventually responds, but the pass on to Ramirez, and Ramirez taking on the Mexican, plays it back to Alves. Alves now in towards the edge of the penalty area, towards Oscar. Oscar's control let him down, and it's out of play by Mexico for a throw into Brazil.
We're 33 minutes into it, Alan. I think that's the first time I've seen Ramirez this far up the pitch on this side.
12 minutes to half-time from the throw-in. It's with Chelsea's Oscar. Scored a brilliant goal in the first game. On to Alves. Alves rolls over. He was challenged, and the assistant has given a corner kick.
It was either going to be a corner or a free kick. I think Mexico are happy that it's a corner. That would be a dangerous spot for a free kick right on the edge of the box there.
Now, wait for the roar as Neymar comes across to take the corner kick. Needlessly, a second ball was thrown onto the pitch. He could probably manage with two footballs. He can manage. Neymar from the right. 11 minutes to half-time. We await the first goal. Neymar swings it in. It was a decent enough corner, but was well defended by Mexico, headed behind for another corner.
I think this Mexican manager has these well drilled on set pieces. They haven't caused too many problems. As I say that, Brazil probably get a chance here, but they do look quite solid on it.
Neymar again. from the right. It's deeper this time, and it's a header goalwards, but it's a simple save for the goalkeeper. Fred with a header.
Not much power on it. Decent ball in. Fred just backed off a little bit. Couldn't really snap his header anyway, as he was falling back. Quite an easy save for the goalkeeper.
Mexico in this position, Vasquez has the ball in his own half. This is where they've been guilty occasionally of giving the ball away carelessly, but not on this occasion. He finds Guardado onto Layun, who's 10 yards over the halfway line, inside Brazilian territory. Back to Guardado, and now Vasquez. Vasquez is just a little figure. He's pushed over there by Ramirez, and it's a free kick to Mexico, who are missing Medina, who was injured before the tournament, and he was such a vital player for them.
Yeah, very, very strong player. I mean, I couldn't believe how difficult they took qualifying. It was amazing. The Mexican teams are normally so solid, so difficult to play at home. I think they only won twice at home in qualifying.
Well, they squandered that free kick, but they get the ball back. That was careless by Paulinho, and as with Lyon down the Mexican left. Not that many yards from the Brazilian penalty. Taking on Daniel Alves, who dived in, and it's a free kick. Yeah, the referee's quite right.
Absolutely right. Alves doesn't agree with it. However, Lyon's very quick, very tricky. I think he sold him a little dummy there, got around him.
He just made sure he took him down.
Yeah, hit his leg first before he touched anything of the ball. Definite foul.
Right, it's about 6 yards into the corner flag. So the angle good for Mexico.
Should we say well done to the referee?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I'll applaud that decision. But he's got a few others to make up for. The Turkish referee, Mr. Kaka. So, the free kick to be taken from the left side by Guardado. And there it goes. Swung in towards the far post. Easily defended by Brazil. Headed away by Thiago Silva. Then the shot driven in, right foot by Lyon, high over the crossbar. Goal kick to Brazil.
At times in games, no matter how good a side you are, you're going to concede some sort of chances, some sort of free kicks. And in situations like that, you want your big men, and there it was, their captain again, Thiago Silva, heading away the danger. For me, so far, he is their focal point. I know everyone talks about Neymar, but he is the foundation for this team.
Ramirez has moved to the left side for the moment. Oscar to the right. That's obviously a deliberate change by Scolari. Ramirez will be looking after Lyon. Brazil on the attack. Ball played in high. Good defensive work. Header by David Luiz. And a second header by Luiz. Finding Marcelo on the far side. He flicks the ball past a Mexican player and rushes towards the halfway line. Into the centre circle. Finding Alves. On to Oscar. Back to Alves. Now the action's inside the Mexican half. Taken up now by Paulinho. Paulinho of Tottenham Hotspur. Back to Alves. Paulinho once more. Swings the ball in. Alves controls it. Can't create room for the shot though. He's tackled, loses the ball, and it's cleared to the halfway line. Great first time pass on the volley by Thiago Silva to Marcelo. Marcelo's shot is across the face of goal, behind for the goal kick.
That's a fantastic first touch pass by Thiago Silva to Marcelo. Played it to him, probably about 30 yards out from goal. Just snatched at the shot a little bit. Going back to Oscar, I believe they probably put him out here on the right-hand side to try to make Lyon defend.
I noticed that Paulinho didn't say which player of that 1970 fantastic team he would have left out to play Thiago Silva. Diplomat. Goal kick to Mexico. Less than 7 minutes left in the first half here in Fortaleza, and this is 5 Live, the home of Brazil 2014. That's what you're listening to. Peralta, or rather it was Dos Santos, trying to get past David Luiz, lost control of the ball, and it's a Brazilian goal kick. And I have to say at the moment, is that a Brazilian player down injured? Yes, it is.
Luis Gustavo. Just a clash of heads. Nothing to do with, no elbow, no nothing. It's just a clash of heads.
The game hasn't lived up to its billing.
Not so far, but I think you have to give Mexico a lot of credit. I think they started off the first 5-10 minutes on the front foot and really pressured Brazil. I don't think Brazil's used to that, especially on home soil. Then Brazil got themselves into the game. Looked like Mexico was going to end up defending for the rest of the half. They didn't. They picked it up again. I think the tactics on both managers are very intriguing. I think they both got them spot on, and it's going to take one of these probably moments of mistakes, of loose passes in the middle, and a counter-attack for Brazil to score. For Mexico, perhaps a free kick. Maybe one of the times that Giovanni Dos Santos or Layun break down this left-hand side and try to draw Thiago Silva up, because he's been a man, a very solid figure when he's in that center of defence.
Former US World Cup goalkeeper Brad Friedel is alongside me here in Fortaleza. He's got the awful deal of staying in Fortaleza for quite a few nights. You know, when I think of the mayor of Manaus, he talks about his region as being a tourist place. No, that's Fortaleza, son.
Fortaleza is the place to be. For everybody out there, Fortaleza is the place to be.
Which, of course, is why the BBC is flying me to Sao Paulo tomorrow.
And I'm staying where?
Don't want to enjoy myself too much. Cortado to the far side of the field. Or rather, it was Peralta who played the ball. It's driven back in towards the penalty area, towards Layun. Headed clear by Brazil. Won by Cortado. Cortado, beats Daniel Alves easy. Good position this. Almost pulled the ball back to a red shirt. Half cleared. Now it's set up for Vasquez to shoot. Wide of goal. Julio Cesar was scrambling.
I mean, perhaps this tactical move by putting Oscar on this side wasn't the best thing, because Ramirez really was cancelling out Layun. Layun is coming further up the pitch. There was a good change of play by Peralta. It came back to the left side of the pitch. It came back. Good strike on goal. Dipping. I'm sure Cesar saw it late. Just wide the left of the post.
Hey, Phil, think again. Pull Ramirez to the right. Actually, this guy knows what he's talking about, doesn't he? I love watching his press conferences. Even though I don't understand a word that he's saying, he's just in complete command, Scolari.
He is.
Fantastic. Always smiling.
The top managers around the world are very impressive figures, especially when they have a room and all the eyes are on them.
Yeah, and he knows what's needed. His quote before the World Cup began was very simple: we're going to win. They're not winning this game.
Not yet.
0-0. 3 minutes to go to half time. Plus maybe 1 or 2 minutes of added time. Thiago Silva to Alves. Alves steps away from the challenge of Peralta. And now it's played by Gustavo to the far side of Marcelo. And Marcelo bursts forward. Early cross in towards Fred. Good header away by the captain Marquez from Mexico. And now it's Alves collecting it again. Foul tackle, free kick to Brazil. Even though they're complaining, Mexico, I think that decision was justified.
Yeah, I think that's a correct decision. And I'm not sure of is when Marcelo has it one-on-one over there with Aguilar on the right-hand side. He's proven that he's not the best of defenders.
Just take him on.
I think he should take him on. Absolutely. Isolated 1v1. If he stops you, so be it. You're in their third of the pitch. It's not going to hurt you.
Well, David Luiz is ignoring this free kick. It's 40 yards or so from goal. David Luiz instead moves forward into the D of the Mexican penalty area to provide some kind of aerial threat, and Luiz is good in the air, we know that. Fred will be joining him, and Thiago Silva.
Marcelo in a lot of space on the left-hand side if they want to play to him.
Have they noticed him? I'm not sure the Mexican defence have noticed him. Anyway, Neymar plays the free kick.
Goal.
Chest it down. He says a goal.
What a save.
There's no offside. Fabulous save by Ochoa.
What a save.
Well, he had no right to make that save. There were 3 Brazilians bearing down on him.
Absolutely. Great free kick in. It was chested down by, I think, Thiago Silva. And I believe it was my teammate Paulinho who just tried to toe poke it in from about 6 yards out. Goalkeeper did everything right. He tried to close down the angle. Reaction save. Hit into him. What a great save.
I think there'll be a few clubs in Europe might be looking at the Mexican goalkeeper, who is certain to leave his club in France. Ball's inside the centre circle with Mexico. Fed on by Marquez to the far side of the field.
Best chance of the game by far.
Yes. I thought it was going to be the first goal. That's a foul tackle. And this is a yellow card.
Definite foul. But you know what? The save that the goalkeeper just made right there, and who knows what's going to happen with this free kick, is those are match-winning and match-changing saves. You never know. They could be down a goal right now, but 30 seconds later, you got Ramirez booked and a free kick in a dangerous wide position.
We'll see if it's telling. The free kick is down the Mexican right. It's going to be delivered in left-footed. It was a clear foul challenge by Ramirez. So how many players have they got inside the Brazilian penalty area? 5 red shirts for Mexico. By the way, I love this. I love the referees using this spray. I don't think he needs it right now. But why don't we have that in the Premier League?
We should do.
Yeah, it's
fantastic. Some of the walls are about 6 yards away.
Here comes the free kick. Left-footed in towards goal. Too high. One bounce that's behind for a goal kick. And we've got 1 minute of added time, Brad.
Wasted the chance there. That was a very dangerous position. Good chance. They had 5 bodies in the box and he overhit it.
I'm sure my fellow commentators have been mentioning this, but this business with the referee identifying where the ball should be for a free kick and then identifying precisely where the wall should be, nobody encroaches.
You can't.
It's just
because you get booked.
It's brilliant, and it's just common sense. So let's have it next season. Why not? Mexico on the attack here in the remaining seconds of the first half into the added time. But the move breaks down. Marcelo clears to Oscar in the far side of the field. He can't keep it in play, and it's going to be a throw into Mexico, who played really well.
And Mexico played very well. I really like the start, because after the energy that was in this ground from all the Brazilian fans and the Brazilian team and singing the national anthem, they had to do something at the beginning. They really came out of the traps and tried to pressure Brazil, and I think they set the tone for the game.
And there is the half-time whistle from the Turkish referee. And Brazil, what do you think?
I think Brazil have played all right. It's been a very tactical game. Brazil has tried to win the balls in the middle of midfield, and they've tried to counter. They've been successful at times. An outstanding save by the Mexican goalkeeper has kept it level at halftime. There's not a lot of chances. I think a lot of people thought there was going to be much more high-scoring affair, a lot more chances, and that may come in the second half.
The odds must still be on a Brazilian victory. It's at this stadium that they beat Mexico 2-0 in the Confederations Cup this time last year. But at the moment, Mexico are very, very happy. Half-time in Fortaleza, Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Yes, when Holt wasn't available for this game, we gather it was a choice between Ramirez of Chelsea and Bernard of Shakhtar Donetsk. And I think many Brazilian fans were actually disappointed that Bernard, who's a much more offensive player, wasn't chosen. Well, he's come on at half-time for Ramirez. That's the alteration for Brazil. Mexico start the second half as they were in the first half. The 3 full lineups. Brazil's goalkeeper, Julio Cesar. The defence, Alves, Thiago Silva, David Luiz and Marcelo. Then Gustavo and Paulinho. Then Bernard, Oscar and Neymar. And finally Fred as Mexico kick off. Their goalkeeper, the outstanding Ochoa, made 2 terrific saves in the first half, particularly the one from the header from Neymar. Then 5 across their defence. Aguilar on the right, Layun on the left, and between them Rodriguez, Marquez the captain and Moreno. Then Herrera, Vasquez and Guardado, and finally Dos Santos and Peralta. Your thoughts, Brad, on the change?
I think it needed to happen. He obviously wasn't happy in the first half, which is why he tried to change Oscar and Ramirez in the first place to put him on the other side. I thought Ramirez did very well defensively on stopping Layun from going forward, but I'm sure Scolari wants to win this game, and I think if it's attacking options that they want, then it's probably the right move.
Down the attack at the moment, the cross came in from Dani Alves, wasn't cleared properly. Fred didn't make anything of that, and now it should be cleared by Mexico. Bernard, he's diminutive in stature, let's say, but we know that technically he's brilliant, and from this distance he looks a little bit like Juninho. He used to work for me.
He does, and there's also a player who I played with at Tottenham who was very small in stature but immense on the pitch, and that was Luka Modric. So size doesn't really matter, and we can say one other name, and Lionel Messi.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole different play here. Mexican player's gone down injured. I don't think that the Turkish referee is that convinced that he actually needs treatment. It's Marquez, the captain, but he's not been helped to his feet, and the answer is no, he doesn't need treatment. But that was great in the first half for Mexico. Great.
Absolutely was, and they've started, the second half has started with much less energy than in the first half, but what we have seen is Bernard is so much further up the pitch than Ramirez was. So obviously tactical change, try to score, try to be more attacking, and we'll see if it pays off for him.
And it also, of course, being so much more interested in attacking Bernard, that would be a different job for Layun that might prevent him getting forward. Now, play haven't resumed. There's a free kick for a tackle on Neymar. Scolari obviously thinks it's got very cold out there because he's got a jacket on. What? And I don't like to see a manager do this. He's protesting the fourth official. It wasn't a yellow card. Leave it to the officials. Anyway, the free kick's been taken. It's back with David Luiz. And here's Thiago Silva. Alves away on the far side of the field, still 25 yards inside his own half, and he clips it, and Bernard chases after it, and he's into the penalty. Bernard is there, shoots across the face of goal, defensive header, puts it behind for a corner.
And we've played 2 minutes, almost 3 minutes, and Bernard's gotten forward double the amount of times that Ramirez did. Obviously why he made the change. Great ball, great run, decent cross in, well defended by Mexico.
Yeah, well, he looks trouble for Mexico. That was very inventive. And now they've got a corner, Brazil. From this near side, their left, it's going to be delivered right-footed by Neymar. David Luiz is inside the 6-yard box. Now it's played short to Oscar. Wide to Neymar again. Neymar slips the pass into Oscar. Oscar, 25 yards out. Oh, shoots high and wide.
Yeah, they played a short corner, and Mexico needed to send 2 players out a little bit quicker than that. I don't think you can give players like Neymar and Oscar that much time on the ball. I know it wasn't a very good strike or cross at the end, but it's dangerous giving Oscar the time and space 24 yards out from goal.
4 minutes played in the second half. You're listening to 5 Live. That's the home of Brazil 2014. Ochoa, the Mexican goalkeeper, takes the goal kick and he drives it over the halfway line towards Herrera. Headed back though by Brazil. Fred trying to find Bernard. Knocked forward again by Marquez. High. Dos Santos is there, so too is Peralta. Peralta heads it on. There's a collision between him and Thiago Silva, no harm done. And David Luiz has the ball. Good ball by Luiz to Marcelo. Marcelo on the near touch line. That's the Brazilian left in the second half. To Oscar. Back to Thiago Silva. Oscar's midway inside his own half. David Luiz again.
And Alan, immediately you see what Layun's doing. He has to play straight across the back because Bernard's moving. And he's moving and setting alongside with Fred. A very good tactical move by Scolari.
Right, said Fred. Back with Thiago Silva to David Luiz. Inside the Brazilian half still to Oscar, Luiz, Thiago Silva, and on to the near side Gustavo. And Gustavo better be careful, he's not caught in possession here. He almost was caught in possession. Thiago Silva's clearance wasn't great. Mexico collect the ball inside the Brazilian half. It's with Vasquez, the diminutive Vasquez. And now towards the near side of the field. A run forward by Aguilar. Terrible pass.
Well, Mexico did there what Brazil did to Mexico in the first half. There was a couple of loose passes, a little bit of pressure. They won the ball in the middle third of the pitch, and then they had a chance to counter, but they actually went backwards and did it a bit too slow. You only have a few seconds to be able to counter to get a shot off, and they waited much too long.
This is the first of the second matches in each of the groups, and we await a goal. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. 6 minutes gone since half-time. Paulinho for Brazil plays the ball through the centre circle to Alves on the far side, and now Bernard, who immediately looks exciting. Bernard back to Alves. Bernard available again. Alves initially chose not to play the ball to him, but here's the Shakhtar Donetsk player launching it down the right side towards Fred. Intercepted by Mexico, cleared comprehensively by Mexico towards the far side, and Layun, or is it Guardado? I think it's Guardado. Layun staying back there.
He has to because Bernard's so far forward.
It's a different job for Layun. Ball played to the Mexican goalkeeper, who certainly looked very good. Ochoa plays it over the halfway line. Herrera slip. Gustavo picks it up for Brazil. Then plays it to Neymar, who's tackled and loses the ball. Mexico quite happy with the way things are going. Aguilar back to his goalkeeper. They're frustrating Brazil. But it's not just that. It's not just a defensive mentality. When they've got the ball, Mexico, they're more than willing to get forward and attack.
Yeah, they're a ball retention side. They're very good with the ball. They're trying their best. This Brazilian team's good defensively also, so it's not the easiest of tasks. But they're frustrating them. Brazil is trying to move the ball quick. They're trying to get chances to score. It's a very tactical battle at this moment in time.
David Luiz, 7 minutes into the second half. and whips the ball left foot in the direction of Fred, who chests it back. I don't think it'll find a yellow shirt of Brazil. It doesn't. Mexico have possession. Then they give it away. Aguilar gave it to Marcelo. Marcelo was caught there by Aguilar. Play continues. Referee, initially I thought, was thinking of a free kick to Brazil. Brazil pick up the ball again. Then David Luiz gives it away. The ball's inside the centre circle. Mexico piled forward. They've got 6 players in attacking positions. It's on the left side, approaching the Brazilian penalty area. Onto the right foot, the chipped into the box, headed away by Gustavo. Still not cleared properly. Look at this. Mexico have only left 3 players back in their own half.
Yeah, it looks like at halftime the Mexican coaches obviously told them when you do win the ball, when you do...
Guardado shoots, takes a deflection, and it's gone behind for a corner.
Looks to me like they said when you do win the ball, attack much quicker, because it looks like they're setting up a little bit more now to counter. So they're obviously going to want to hold on to the 0-0 as long as they can. But when they get it, they are committing players forward and they're trying to do it quicker. For me, they still have to do it that touch more quicker to be able to get chances on target. However, that seems to be their tactical push. So both managers have obviously changed it a little bit at halftime.
The more anxious Brazil are to attack, the better it will be for Mexico. Here comes the Mexican corner into the penalty area, but that wasn't a great touch, and it's cleared away by Gustavo, high towards the halfway line, dropping towards Neymar, and Neymar fouled the Mexican player. That's Aguilar, and it's a free kick to Mexico. I don't think Neymar's been that good.
No, he had a few little quick counter-attacks in the first half. He got fouled a few times. I think that's one of the reasons why Scolari was going so mad on the touchline, because the very first chance they got to stomp on his toes, they did.
Well, you would.
Yeah, of course you would.
Opponent,
of course you would, because if you can stop him at all costs.
Here's Herrera. Herrera forward for Mexico. Just about squeezes the pass through. Get the ball back. There's a few yards outside the penalty area. Back to Vasquez. Vasquez shoots from long range, and Julio Cesar was stretching. He didn't require a touch on the ball because it was high and behind goal kick.
That's the second or third time now Vasquez has gotten in those positions. I know it's 25-30 yards out, but he looks like he has a very good strike on him, and he's not missing the target by much, and he's making Julio Cesar really worry and dive after the ball. Now he's at full stretch.
No one feels like a samba at the moment inside the stadium.
He touched it again. He touched it again. Ever so slightly touched it, so that's another corner they've missed.
He takes the goal kick. Julio Cesar straight into Mexican possession on the far side of the field. Guardado over the halfway line, feeding it infield. Here's Herrera, plenty of room for him. His first touch wasn't great, but he kept possession. Feeds it to the right to Aguilar. Mexico sends a kill here. Aguilar back. Oh, that's a poor ball from Dos Santos, and it's cleared over the halfway line, but straight into Mexico's possession again, and Brazil are just standing there and
it
not
looks like
really
the Mexican
knowing what's
side.
happening.
Looks like the Mexican side in the first half, doesn't it? They were
does.
sitting in their half of the field while Brazil had possession. Things are flip-flop.
Here's Moreno. Oh, what a great ball. If it's still in play, it is still in play. Aguilar takes it in his chest. Aguilar just to the right of the Brazil penalty. Tackled by Oscar. Oscar wins it. Helped out by Marcelo. Marcelo's going to lose it to Aguilar again. And this is good football. Dos Santos running infield under his left foot. Shoots! Takes a deflection. You weren't sure where that ball was going off Thiago Silva's foot. As it is, it killed the sting in the shot and is saved by Julio Cesar.
And that is where Gio is very, very dangerous. He can cut it in and hit. He has a powerful left-footed strike. Very fortunate for Brazil that there was a deflection on it. Took the sting out of the ball, as you said, and then bounced easily into Julio Cesar's hands.
He didn't have a great spell, Dos Santos, at Tottenham, but he's had a really good season for his club in La Liga Villarreal.
He is a very good player, technically gifted, Alan. Premier League isn't for everybody, but he is a very talented footballer.
This is a pretty good opening to the second half for Mexico. They've been the better side, comfortably the better side. It's with Rodriguez, one of their 3 central defenders, onto Aguilar, the right wing back. He plays a good one too, and he's plenty of room to run into. Marcelo rushing to get back. Aguilar moves forward, checks, needs to feed the ball in now. Herrera just on the edge of the penalty, left foot shot, hits the top of the crossbar.
And that Mexico, this is the 3rd time they've gotten in very dangerous situations deep into Brazil's half. This one just cuts inside Herrera, right on the edge of the box, just over the bar a little bit. Probably 3rd or 4th time that Julio Cesar's had to really be careful about a ball coming, dipping, swerving just under the post. Julio Cesar now is taking his time, Alan. He knows Brazil's frustrated a little bit.
It's a hard period for Brazil.
Yeah, but this is the absolute correct thing to do as a goalkeeper. man manage, time manage the game. You know your team's struggling a little bit, and it happens from time to time. Take the sting out of it.
Mexicans are very happy inside the stadium. Brazil fans responding. Wonderful atmosphere here at Fortaleza. Fred for Brazil. That 1-2 with Pulling didn't work. And it's hit over the halfway line. Headed down by Dos Santos. But Mexico initially lost possession, now they commit a foul. Foul on Dani Alves on the halfway line. Not taken from the right position, but he hadn't tried to steal the yard, so he's allowed to get away with it. And now he shoots the ball towards this near touchline to Marcelo. Headed back by him to David Luiz. They look a bit stung at the moment, Brazil.
Yes, they do, and they look a bit static even in possession. Not many runs forward. Fred's staying central in between two of the three center halves, if you like, that Mexico have. Yeah, they're not really trying to break the lines with any pace.
Aguilar's just been yellow carded for a bad tackle from behind on Bernard, who switched flanks. He started on the right side, now he's on the left. But apart from his one bright run, 2 minutes into the second half, we've seen nothing from Brazil in an attacking sense.
No, and he should. I don't know why he's over on the left-hand side. I think he should go back to the right-hand side and make Layun defend as a back five like they did at the beginning of the half. Now you see Layun's positioning. He's in front of the other back four, and if they do win the ball, he can break.
14 minutes played in the second half. It remains Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Oh, that's loose from Marcelo. Trying to find Neymar. Instead, it's a pass back to the Mexican goalkeeper. He throws it out quickly to Rodriguez. Rodriguez, 3 yards in from the right touchline. Back to his captain, Vasquez, and now to the goalkeeper once more. They're looking increasingly confident, Mexico. It's drilled towards the far side. Layun hits the ball confidently infield. And this is good football for Mexico. Herrera over the halfway line.
When Mexico gets in a rhythm, Alan, they are very good on the ball. They don't give. That's why I was surprised in the first half they gave the ball away so loosely in the middle of midfield about 3 or 4 times.
What surprises me is that they ever struggled to qualify in the first place.
Me as well. That's what happens when you bring 4 managers in 6 weeks.
Here's Herrera. Herrera to Guardado. Guardado's shot wasn't threatening goal. It's behind for a goal kick to Brazil.
I count this now, I think, as 5 shots to Brazil's 1 in the second half. Mexico really played, getting in a comfortable defensive position, really causing problems for Brazil to go forward. I do think it was a good tactical change at halftime, but Bernard has to go back up the pitch where he was. I don't know why they've brought him over to the left-hand side. I'd like to see him back on Layun's toes.
You're listening to Brad Friedel on 5 Live. You're home with the World Cup on the BBC. Julio Cesar with the goal kick, glances off the head of Rodriguez, who beat Fred in the air, and headed away by Moreno. Mexico have dominated the second half, quite comfortably, the first quarter of an hour. And if Brazil slightly shaded the first 45 minutes, Mexico have evened it up now, Brad.
Definitely. Brazil did shade the first half, and Ochoa made 2 wonderful saves, and he kept it goalless at halftime. But they have that 0-0 to hold on to, and they've come out here in the second half, and Brazil are struggling to find ideas, and Mexico are getting more and more confident as the game goes on.
Aguilar was caught there by Gustavo. Play continues. Mexico have the ball. Herrera feeds it to Dos Santos. Dos Santos pulls it back into the 6-yard box, but nobody made a proper run into the Brazilian penalty area for Mexico, and Julio Cesar has the ball comfortably.
Again, causing them problems, and a good run by Gio. Obviously just stretched a little bit. Goalkeeper did well to gather there, covered 6 yards off of his post. But again, Mexico causing trouble.
Here's Neymar, who apart from the header has been anonymous, and there's another yellow card for a tackle by Vasquez on Neymar. And this position for a free kick is a good one for Brazil.
This is dangerous, because this is one of those positions where you could actually swing the ball in. It can be a cross shot, very difficult for a goalkeeper, as I think we spoke about earlier today. Sometimes if they have too many bodies flashing across you, it's difficult to see the ball, difficult to go for the first strike. It causes all sorts of havoc in there. And one thing we do know is Brazil definitely have the quality standing on top of the ball to serve in a good one.
Well, we've got Neymar, we've got Dani Alves. Either of them could threaten the Mexican goal. By the way, what do you think of the ball that they're using for the World Cup?
I think it's good.
I think it's really good.
No, very
Unlike
good.
the piece of rubbish that they had.
Oh, the
4 years
Jabalani
ago.
was awful, terrible, probably the worst that they've ever manufactured. This one's very good.
Right, it's approaching 30 yards from Ochoa's goal. But the wall being forced back the full 10 yards, there's plenty of room to work with here. You can get the ball over the wall and down to threaten the goal. This should not fly over the crossbar. It'll be Neymar, presumably, who's going to hit it. 17 and a half minutes gone in the second half. Still nil. Neymar plays it wide. Goalkeeper had it covered anyway.
I think the goalkeeper did. The goalkeeper is very confident himself, obviously, after the 2 saves in the first half. It's wide by about a yard, but he did have it. He got it well covered. Like I said, I think that's just far enough out where you can see the ball when it comes over the wall. Neymar, very good technique on it. Misses by about a yard to his right-hand side. Ochoa actually even pulled away his hand.
Yeah, very good. Premier League clubs, think about this Mexican goalkeeper. Mexico in possession.
Saw another good goalkeeper here the other night, Alan. The Costa Rican.
Oh yes, he's good too. Now, Alves over the halfway line, the far side of the field. Seems like a mile away. Down the Brazilian right. On it goes to Oscar. Oscar tries to cross it. Aimed at Fred. Hits the defender, Layun, and is out of play for a throw-in. Level with the edge of the Mexican penalty area. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. And Mexico thoroughly good value for it. But Brazil will threaten again. And now here's a run by Neymar. He finds Marcelo. Marcelo with Bernard to his left. Marcelo chips the ball into the penalty area. One bounce and it's hit high to relative safety by Moreno. Marcelo heads it back into the penalty area. Fred had stayed in an offside position, and then when he came back, flag goes up, free kick Mexico.
One thing that does surprise me a little bit with Fred, with his size and his stature, he seems to be a box player, seems to be a goal scorer, and once he makes his first movement, then that's it. He doesn't make a second movement. That wasn't a bad ball in by Marcelo, and he should have gotten himself back in an onside position.
By the way, folks, you know, listening to 5 Live, that we're barely into the World Cup, you know. This is only the second group match, the third group match in Group A. The first time any team has played more than one game. The fixtures are out tomorrow. You ready? The fixtures are out tomorrow. So you'll know where your team is playing in August. Yes, I'll be on the computer as well to see what the fixtures are.
And the first team you look for?
I always look for Manchester United because that's where I'm likely to end up. Just to see if Van Gaal behaves himself. Now, not particularly behaving himself at the moment is Miguel Herrera. He's being ticked off by the 4th official.
He was upset that he didn't give a booking for the foul.
Anyway, Mexico, his team have possession on the far side of the field. Now, Guardado playing it back to Layun. Layun checks inside of Alves. Then Alves gets a second snap at him, and the ball's out for a Mexican throw-in. Better team in the second half, Mexico. We've played 20 minutes. We're still waiting for a goal here in Fortaleza. 0-0, Brazil and Mexico. That throw-in was wasted. Thiago Silva doesn't clear properly. It's still in play. Mexico are working so hard. And now they've got the ball. At least they had the ball. It's run away by Brazil. And there's a foul on Thiago Silva, free kick to Brazil.
A smart foul there. Mexico had all their players in Brazil's half once again, which has been a theme of this second half. They did lose the ball there loosely, and I think it was Guardado brought him down, and that was a very smart foul to stop the counter.
If it were to finish 0-0, oh goodness, that's a terrible pass from Dani Alves. Straight to Herrera. Mexico, inside the Brazilian half. Guardado onto Layun in the far side of the field, and he's running at Alves, running on the outside of Alves, beats Alves, pulls the cross low, diving header clear by Brazil, and it's out of play for a Mexican throw.
Thiago Silva again, right position, right time, very, very impressive as a defender.
If it was to stay 0-0, no one could begrudge Mexico the point.
Absolutely not, and I think it also, if Croatia wins, it brings them into it.
Of course it does. But here's Neymar for Brazil, collecting the ball inside his own half. Oscar's ahead of him. He finds the Chelsea player. Oscar looking for Fred. Careless pass cleared by Mexico.
Fred again for me was in a great position to receive a pass, and he didn't shape his body correctly. He didn't take 2 or 3 steps out. He stayed central, which made it more difficult for him to play the ball to him.
Well, he's been injured for such a long spell this season. He's not playing at the highest level in Brazil, Fred, and he's not showing great form for Brazil in this World Cup. Ball is with Brazil on the far side of the field, and they concede a throw into Mexico. And listen to the roars from the Mexican fans.
The Mexican fans are picking it up, and the Brazilian fans are very quiet right now. They're waiting for their team. They're waiting for Neymar. They're waiting for Bernard's, waiting for Oscar to excite them. And here's a substitution probably that I think
it's obvious.
It's
Fred,
going to happen.
Not good enough. Joe is coming on for Fred. Well, we'll see if that changes. That's the second change made by Scolari. He can't be happy with the way his team is playing. I didn't think they played especially well against Croatia. They deserved to win the game, but they didn't play that great. They didn't, to me, like an obvious winner of a World Cup. Not on that form.
No, but it's always difficult. It's going to take a special performance. I said it earlier to beat Brazil on Brazilian soil. That's for sure, because Mexico's carved out quite a few chances in the second half, but Brazil still has so many match winners in their side. You can never count
Here's
out.
Bernard, crosses deep, taken down in the chest, shot a goal, another great save. Another fabulous save. It's still inside the penalty area. Alves pulls the ball back and comes back off a defender behind for a corner.
Another wonderful save by Ochoa. He is having an outstanding game for Mexico. Just as we were talking about Brazil looking for someone to excite them. A great little play, I think, by Bernard. Cross to the far post, and there's a man, Neymar, who nearly produced a little bit of magic, except for Ochoa. He bettered him.
Neymar to take the corner eventually. The referee's having a word with David Luiz. There's a surprise. He's grappling a defender inside the penalty. Ball played in. Ochoa with a good punch clear. He's not the tallest of goalkeepers, but my goodness, he looks a good one. Another cross into his penalty area, and this time he catches it.
He's a very, very confident, very comfortable. It's always easier when you make those saves that you do in the first half. You come out, the ball seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the game goes on.
It's opening up a little bit now. A little over 20 minutes left to play. Brazil on the attack. Joe didn't control that well, and it's knocked out of play by Mexico for a throw-in.
For as good as Mexico has played, Brazil has had the three best chances.
Marcelo from the throw-in to Bernard. Bernard can't get it back initially to the fullback, but now it goes his way. Into David Luiz. David Luiz switches play to the right side to Oscar, unmarked on the far side of the field, to the right of the penalty. Low ball and David Luiz missed kicks.
Is it another good play? Mexico has to get out now. They're pinned back a little bit, and they're giving Oscar and they're giving Bernard and Marcelo too much time in wide areas. They're going to have to get out to the ball and stop it. Here it is again with Oscar.
Easily Brazil's best period in the second half. Hitherto dominated by Mexico. Brazil with a throw-in on the far side of the field, only half a dozen yards from the corner flag. And it's going to be left for Alves to take. Oscar's across there. The throw goes to Oscar. Mexico were sleeping a little bit at that throw-in. Now it's with Alves. Alves crosses, important header away. Drops to Marcelo. Marcelo moving in field on his wrong foot at the moment. Spins, plays the ball to Bernard. Bernard crosses low into the penalty area. There must have been two Brazilian players offside there. Anyway, there's a foul tackle by Joe, is it? Not sure it's Joe. It's Paulinho. Either way, it's a free kick to Mexico.
One thing has happened since Joe's come on, and it's only been a couple of minutes. It's just a little bit of movement in the box that makes the three center halves for Mexico keep an eye on him, and that makes the three center halves also stay back. It's just short little 2-3 yard movements, and then when he doesn't get the ball, he comes back onside. When Fred was playing, he was just staying there stationary, make the one run, and then he's caught offside because he wasn't moving back to an onside position.
Ochoa proving he's the number one Mexican goalkeeper. Takes the free kick high towards the edge of the Brazilian penalty area. It's headed away by David Luiz, comes out off Herrera for a Brazilian throw-in. And Mexico are about to make their first change. And I think it's Hernandez.
It is.
Yep. Hernandez, or Chicharito, if you want to call him that. He's always Hernandez to me.
I would assume he'll be coming on for Peralta, because one player that we haven't really seen have the ball or do much is Peralta. However, in saying that, he's the one that's been scoring all the goals recently.
And that's been a problem for Hernandez in the Mexican shirt of late. Oscar, though, feeds it to Dani Alves. Run for Alves. Break forward to the penalty area. Crosses, easily headed clear by Rodriguez. Alves chases it to the far side. Keeps it in play. Alves now launches it high into the penalty area. Doesn't reach Neymar. Headed up and away by the defender. Drops to Bernard. Here's Marcelo. Marcelo forward. Simple pass to Neymar. Neymar wide in the near touchline. That's the Brazilian left. 18 minutes to go. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Here on 5 Live. Bernard crosses into the penalty area. Glancing header away by Lyon. Alves forward to Oscar for Brazil. Oscar back to Alves. Alves to Joe inside the penalty area. And can he get the cross in? Not yet, he can't. He's being forced wide. He's being forced to run towards the corner flag. Taps it back in the direction of Oscar. Intercepted by Lyon and played off Oscar out for a Mexican throw.
What a difference the sub makes. I mean, right now we've seen Brazil put 4 and then the time before that 5 players into the box trying to get on the end of crosses. For the first 20-25 minutes of the second half, I don't think I saw Fred in the box more than one time. One sub, a little bit of movement, and all of a sudden they're creating all these chances. Amazing.
As forecast by Brad Friedel correctly, Hernandez replacing Peralta. Are they going to make another change? The coach Herrera's whispering into the ear of another Mexican player.
He's definitely going to make another substitution.
Mexico, I'm sure, would be delighted at 0-0. Would be absolutely delighted.
It's Fabian who's coming on.
Fabian, hands his sheet of paper to the 4th official. So why didn't you just make the 2 changes at once? Maybe he didn't feel he had enough time to talk to Fabian.
And maybe he's just seen that he needs a little bit more cover because of the movement of Joe, and he's probably trying to stop the service from wide because they're getting far too much time on those balls to be able to cross into the box.
That was a foul by Oscar, which he got away with. And Brazil now play it forward, and Oscar takes it up. Midway inside the half. Great run forward by Gustavo. Oscar up to the edge of the penalty area. Didn't create room for the shot. Plays it to Neymar instead. Neymar with 3 red shirts facing him. Flicked the ball goalwards. It came off the head of a defender, but didn't threaten goal. And Mexico survived that little scare.
Far more exciting right now from Brazil, isn't it? They're going forward, and they're going forward with conviction. They're going forward quickly, and they're going forward with numbers.
Here's Herrera from Hernandez pass to Guardado. Lyon available on the far side with the field. Played forward to Hernandez into the penalty area. Goodness, he almost took it past David Luiz, and he had done. He was clean through and goal. Luiz did well for Brazil.
Very good run through between the 2 centre halves of Brazil by Hernandez. Very good ball, well-weighted pass, and well defended by Luiz.
They're still attacking Mexico. Herrera chips it towards Hernandez. Hernandez heads it to a non-existent colleague inside the Brazil penalty area, and it's with Julio Cesar.
Yeah, another good movement from Hernandez, but Dos Santos didn't help him out with any sort of support there. It looks to me like Dos Santos is tiring a little bit. That may be where the sub's going to come.
Bernard into Joe, flashes the shot, hurries the shot, didn't need to, shoots wide.
It's like a basketball match at the moment. Going one into another with a big gap in the middle of midfield. I'm not sure if it's number 6 coming off.
Herrera. So Fabian coming on for Herrera, who I think has actually played very well in the second half, Herrera.
He has played very well, but I think he sees that he needs some fresh legs in the middle of midfield. Brazil's just taking control of the game a little bit this last 5 or 6 minutes, or however long Joe's been on the pitch, really.
The way he came off there, Herrera, you think he needed a stretcher. He looks exhausted. But I'm not blaming Mexico for this. Hey, they're playing Brazil in Brazil, and it's 0-0, and perfection would be a victory over Brazil, but 0-0 they'd take.
0-0 in Fortaleza at the World Cup. Unbelievable result. They would have taken this before the game all day long.
14 minutes to go. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. The man of the match, Ochoa, takes the goal kick. The Mexican goalkeeper looking for Hernandez. Didn't reach Hernandez because Gustavo won it. He finds Marcelo. Crossfield ball hit by Marcelo. Intercepted by Mexico. And now they've got the ball with Rodriguez. On to the latest substitute, Fabian. He takes it back from Dos Santos. Fabian again moves inside the Brazil half. Hernandez in his central position. They happy at the moment to play it back into their own half, Mexico, with their captain Marquez.
What I have liked as well, Alan, about Mexico is each time Brazil's come back in the game and put them on the back foot, they've come right back again and tried their own.
Here's the busy little Bernard again. Good pass infield to Oscar. Oscar almost caught in possession. somehow retains it, plays it to Dani Alves on the far side of the field. Paulinho in close attendance. It goes to Joe. That's back to Paulinho. 20 yards over the halfway line. Alves again on the far side of the field. The clock ticking down. 13 minutes to go here on 5 Live. In it goes to Paulinho. Couldn't quite take it in his stride, and it's taken away to safety by Moreno from Mexico. And he runs up to the halfway line. Finds Hernandez, who's got a nudge over there by David Luiz. Spotted by the referee. Free kick Mexico.
And Mexico enjoy this every time there's a foul now, with there being about 13, 14 minutes left. They're going to take time. They're going to start managing this game as well. Hernandez, very good run again. Got his body in between the ball and the man. Luiz fouls him.
0-0. Here's Guardado from the resultant free kick to Layun on the far side of the field, just to the left of the Brazilian penalty area. Hernandez waits for the cross. There it goes. Hernandez gets his forehead to the ball, but heads it wide.
Yeah, decent ball in. Brazil was there. It was Hernandez really against 4. He did get up. He got his head on it. We all know that he's very good inside the box, very quick, but it was well wide of the goal. Did not trouble Cesar at all.
I'll be surprised if he's still at Manchester United next season. His international coach is saying you've got to move.
You've got to move to
be
play
playing football.
Well, at his age as well, he's going to want to play football. So we'll have to wait and see what Van Gaal says.
Here's the goal kick, taken by Julio Cesar. Headed on to Bernard and flicked back to Marcelo. Bernard makes himself available again. Marcelo doesn't need him at the moment. Rushes forward, beats Fabian, then loses the ball. Aguilar into Vasquez, on to Fabian, just over the halfway line now. Marcelo hustling him. Doesn't get the ball off him. Plays it in field, and that's forward to Hernandez. Hernandez tried to spin. Is that a free kick? Yes, it is. Thiago Silva guilty. And this is a great position for Mexico.
Absolutely is, and this is the sharpness of Hernandez. He's come on, he's got fresh legs. He's made these runs in between the two center halves, Luiz and Silva. He got his body in between the ball and the man, and Silva is forced to come in behind him. Definite foul, definite booking. Referee again, spot on. But Hernandez is doing very well for Mexico since he's come on. Surging runs forward, strong, quick, sharp, doing exactly what Mexico needs. And now he's getting the crowd, the Mexican fans behind the goal all revved up.
Julio Cesar, beware. Great position. 2 yards from the D of the Brazilian penalty area. A little over 10 minutes to go. 12 years since Brazil lost any game on home territory. That was against Paraguay, 2002. Here's the referee making sure the wall will be fully 10 yards back. David Luiz can complain all he likes. The referee has walked it out, and soon he'll use that spray. Let's see it in England.
He'll definitely do it, and you can't complain about it. He's going to tell him where to stand, he's going to spray the line, and that's that. What I will say is both Marquez and Dos Santos from central positions here have the technique to cause Cesar trouble on this one.
Will it be Dos Santos left foot or Marquez right foot?
From where the wall's set up, I would go with Dos Santos for the left-footed.
Inside the final 10 minutes, 0-0 in Fortaleza. Dos Santos left-footed into the wall. And rebounds to Oscar on the far side of the field. Oscar, Neymar the furthest forward for Brazil. The ball goes to Neymar. Neymar spins away from his marker. Somebody there, yellow shirts rushing in support. Then towards Joe into the penalty area. Out comes Ochoa. Didn't be in any doubt. He's got the ball.
Yeah, he read that well. That was quite easy at the end for Ochoa, but Giovanni Dos Santos will be really disappointed. He knows he has the technique, and from that position, he'll know he'll at least wanted to have made the goalkeeper work.
Alves back to Thiago Silva, the latest player in the game to be booked. Into Gustavo. Marcelo available down the left side, but instead the pass is quickly going to Bernard. Bernard, 2 yards over the halfway line. Giving the ball away. And now Mexico have it with Aguilar. Aguilar in no rush to surge forward. Plays it in the direction of Fernandez, but gets the angle wrong and decided to play it. May have taken the deflection, that's what the claim is. Now it starts a Brazilian throw-in. Less than 8 minutes to go.
I think you have to give credit to both the managers as well. All their substitutions have done exactly what they wanted them to, with the exception of maybe Scolari, obviously still looking for that goal.
Brazil are going to make their third and final change. And in fact, Mexico are going to make a change as well. So Mexico are bringing on Jimenez, who's a striker. Well done, Herrera. No holding back. And it's Willian, another Chelsea player, who's going to make an entrance. So Scolari talking to Willian. And he can play. There's no doubt. We know that in England.
Outstanding player. And I think he's going to bring off the Santos as well. He looks very tired to me. He's worked tirelessly today. I think he's had a very good match for Mexico, but he does look like one of the tired ones on the pitch.
7.5 minutes to go. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. It's really good for Mexico, and they've deserved it. Perhaps just shaded by Brazil in the first half, but not in the second. Now the ball's out of play, and it is Dos Santos who's being replaced by Jimenez.
Yeah, I think that's wise, because as this game goes into this last, probably 10 minutes with added time, you're going to need your legs up front. You're going to need someone to get up front with Hernandez, hold the ball up, get around Hernandez, and it looks to me like Dos Santos is a little bit tired. So the fresh legs, also a taller player in stature, someone who's probably going to be able to flick the ball on. Well done to Gio Dos Santos. Thought he was very, very good today.
And one Chelsea player replaces another. Willian is on for Oscar.
Again, fresh legs, I believe it is. I'd still like to see, Willian can do the job as well. I'd still like to see Bernard over on the far side going against Layun. It worked in the first 5 minutes, and then he brought him straight over to the left-hand side.
And he's staying left at the moment as Marcelo launches the ball into the Mexican half, and it's headed on by Neymar to Bernard. Bernard. Unusual to see a lack of technique like that from a Brazilian, but he just ran the ball out of play.
And the fans let him know. They're used to the skill. They like to see the flair. They get excited with it. And when something like that happens, they sure let you know here.
6 minutes to go. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Iran-Nigeria, you think, okay, 0-0. Brazil-Mexico, not 0-0, surely.
But I think this has been an exciting 0-0.
It has been a good 0-0.
And I think man of the match, it makes it sound like Mexico's played poor when you give the man of the match to the goalkeeper. However, they haven't been poor, but 3 fantastic saves tonight.
Here's Gustavo running to the left of the Mexican penalty. 2 defenders get across. Gustavo goes down and he gets the free kick.
Dangerous area here. I think again the referee got it absolutely correct.
Well, David Luiz, surely he's going to get up into the penalty area. Paulinho's already there.
Yeah, it just come into the back of his legs. It was a foul. This is where Mexico needs to keep the discipline. You got 2 players on 1. I think you can just stand up.
A shade over 5 minutes to go before we move into added time, of which we'll have 2 to 3 minutes because of the substitutions that have appeared in the second half. 0-0. Neymar to take the free kick from the left. He's going to deliver right-footed, swirling in towards Ochoa's goal. Lots of yellow shirts attacking it. It's played in it! Oh, what another magnificent save! Ochoa's done it again! He'd no right to make that save.
No, that's 4 saves now. Again, we say it, as well as Mexico has played, all the chances have come to Brazil. Didn't know a lot about that one. Did get his hand up at the very end. Thiago Silva, their captain, climbs. Great ball in. Very close to him. Good, strong right hand out, and then his defenders help him out on the second one on the rebound. This guy is having probably the international game of his life. I saw him have a few good ones in the French league this season, but this has got to be the best that he's played for Mexico.
Amazingly, the Brazilian fan behind his goal didn't throw the ball back, and nobody thought quickly enough to throw a spare one from the sidelines.
Souvenir.
4 minutes to go. A very good 0-0. It can happen, particularly from a Mexican perspective. They've been excellent. Brazil have the ball though. Marcelo heads it forward. It's bouncing out of play. And Mexico, who can blame them now, will slow things down.
Absolutely. They're going to manage this game out as they should. It wouldn't surprise me as well now with about 3 minutes left of regulation time. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Mexico started running the ball to the corners as well.
Here's Hernandez. Surely he's fouled. Yes, free kick. Cleverly won from the challenge of Gustavo. He just rolled as soon as Gustavo went anywhere near him.
Absolutely.
Now, in this situation, a free kick midway inside
Well,
the Brazilian half. Now you can send your big central defenders forward.
Yeah, you can send this as long as you have cover in the back, which they're doing. You see they're bringing two central here. Neymar isn't staying up high. They've got Joe back defending, so this is fine. The one thing they're going to have to worry about is if they do clear it, you see the positioning of Willian and Neymar. They're going to be the first two to counter.
Guardado's free kick, left-footed, swirling in towards the Brazilian penalty area, headed away by the defence. And that looked like a foul challenge on the far side of the field. On Willian, yes, it's a free kick to Brazil.
Willian looks injured. Now is he getting up? Oh, it's just in the back of the head.
2.5 minutes to go. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Can't imagine many punters would have put money on that. Free kick off. It may not end 0-0.
Now there's been chances both sides. The first half of this second half, Mexico was excellent, put Brazil under a lot of pressure. And now Brazil has come back at him in the later stages since Joe's come on.
David Luiz chips it for the run of Marcelo. Marcelo's after it, brings the ball under control. Marcelo goes down. Not a penalty kick.
No, never a penalty for me. Never a penalty, and I don't understand why he's not booking Marcelo. Or is that rule going out of the game now?
It doesn't affect Brazilian players that go down.
No, he's never touched him.
No.
He's never touched. You've got to book him here. Look.
Sorry, it's a yellow card, or it should be.
It should be a yellow card.
90 seconds remaining. Brazil will consider this rightly a famous result.
That was almost worse than Fred's dive in the first game.
Aguilar with a throw, and it goes on, and it's now with Jimenez. Jimenez wins the corner. Clever play by the substitute. Yeah. More pressure on Brazil's defence.
Good power, good skill, and he's won a corner for his team. I know they'll try to score here, however it does probably take another 30, 40 seconds, because they're going to be in no rush to take this corner. But right now you're going to see Brazil, they're sending Bernard up. They're going to have to start covering in the back a little bit.
3 Mexican defenders hold back. Guardado plays the corner in towards the near post, headed clear by Brazil. Guardado again, once more on his left foot, makes a better angle, shoots it, goal just over the crossbar. Claims from the Mexicans that Julio Cesar got a touch on that, he didn't, it's a goal kick.
Now another one just over the bar. That's probably about 5 now that Cesar's had to stretch for, just over his bar. Guardado got himself in a great position just to the left of the goalkeeper, about 16 yards out. When he went to strike it, it's from one of those cross shots, again, that we spoke about. Very difficult for a goalkeeper. I think Cesar had it covered at the end, but again, another chance for Mexico in the second half.
Yeah, a World Cup in Brazil needs Brazil to go a long way.
And they will.
And they will. But I tell you what, I am so pleased for Mexico. This has been bold, imaginative, not wholly defensive, not at all. When they've got the ball, boy, do they attack. 3 minutes of added time being added on. Here's Neymar running forward. Neymar deliberately looking to go into a challenge and fall over, and now Mexico can counter-attack here. Brazil have committed so many players forward. It's driven forward. That falls kindly for Mexico. Flick towards the right side. Here's the substitute. Shoots a goal. Punch clear by Julio Cesar. Jimenez shot.
Absolutely outstanding. Another quick counter-attack, and the ball came out to Jimenez. Good strike. Good save. This is, again, Neymar goes to one side. Thought he was fouled. I don't think it was a foul. Mexico gets the ball within, 10 seconds? 9 seconds, has a shot on target.
Well, that illustrates Mexico's strength to me. Ostensibly, they play with a back five, but they're wing backs.
No, they go.
And they press. They've been very, very good. But Herrera, their manager, is now waving prayers back. He doesn't want to concede a goal this late. We're into the second minute of 3 added minutes. Here's Neymar coming forward. Crosses weakly, though, behind Joe, and it's cleared by Mexico.
And Mexico are hardly my favorite team, being our main rival. However, it would be heartbreaking for them to concede a goal now after performing like this in Brazil at a World Cup.
I think the newspaper headlines after that US win against Panama were basically, "We love you, United States. Mexico, you're awful."
Yeah, yeah. They had to count on us, of all people. They had to count on us. I think the most popular footballer in the country was Graham Zusi, who scored the winner.
Free kick to Mexico, and the player who was brought down has a little bit of cramp, made up or not. Who will blame them?
I would think made up, and I would think if I was a Mexican player, if I was playing in goal for Mexico right now, I'd say stay down.
Absolutely. It was Marquez, the captain, who was brought down, and he's going to take the free kick inside the centre circle. And Brazil, you see, they're frightened as well. Hey, what a story it would be if Mexico scored in the last minute of added time.
Be incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Marquez waits. He's inches short of the halfway line in the centre circle, and he drifts the ball towards the right side. Jimenez jumps, does enough to keep the ball for Mexico. It's back with Aguilar. We've only got 30 seconds remaining of the added time. Aguilar on his left foot curls it in the direction of Fernandez, chested down by Thiago Silva, and David Luiz has to smack it upfield quickly, un-Brazilian-like perhaps, but that's the only way they can go. It's played towards Joe, headed away by the defender, one on the far side of the field. Hernandez can't pick it up. Thiago Silva for Brazil. One last flurry from Brazil. Willian down the right side, rushing forward. 5 seconds of added time remaining. Feeds it in. Neymar's there, just away from the tee. His pass wasn't accurate. It's cleared, and it's the final whistle. And Mexico have had a fabulous result here in Fortaleza. They haven't beaten Brazil, but it's akin to beating Brazil. Brazil 0, Mexico 0. Brad Friedel.
What a great 0-0. I mean, most 0-0s are a bit drab, a bit boring. Man of the match for me, Mexican goalkeeper. However, there were many great performers in the Mexican side. By no means did they sit back and just try to defend. I think they set the tone from the first minute, from the kickoff. Brazil had the kickoff, and they sprinted at them. Every time Brazil had attacks at them, they then tried to go back themselves. The start of the second half, for the first 25 minutes, all Mexico. Brazil didn't know what to do. They took Fred off, they put Joe on. Bernard came on at halftime. They had a bit more attacking prowess. They put Mexico under pressure. Ochoa had to come up huge again. However, they weathered the storm, and then they saw the game out. 4 points for both of these teams in the first 2 games. Mexico, probably the happier of the two.
And the Mexican supporters are riotous in their celebrations. The Brazilians are very, very subdued, and if they had doubts about the performance against Croatia, there are further doubts now as a result of this 0-0 against Mexico. The Brazilian public will be worried.
They might be a little bit worried, but I think Scolari needs to go straight to the press conference and say, well, what are you going to do? Their goalkeeper was man of the match. We had all the great chances. And he can, I'm not going to say spin, but he can definitely explain it like that.
And if you're daft enough to be turning on late to 5 Live and you hear that it's been 0-0, you think, well, I didn't miss much. You missed a really good game of football. Final score in Fortaleza, Brazil 0, Mexico 0.